Greek mythical world was ruled by a small group of powerful gods called the Olympians. When things had to be decided, the Council of 12 Gods met on Mount Olympus to discuss things. Here are the 12 Olympians. Zeus was the king of all the gods. He had many magical powers. He could shape-shift and make himself look like anybody. He could throw his lightning bolts and do all kinds of damage. He could throw his voice and make himself sound like anybody. He had also powers that came from being king of all the gods. These were powers of government. He could give other gods titles and jobs, and he could take those titles and jobs away. He could direct other gods like any leader to do things. His was an elected position. There were 12 gods on the council. They could have voted someone else king, but they never did, and Zeus never retired. As the king of all the gods, there are many myths about the mighty Zeus. Here are just a few of them. Hera was the queen of all the gods, and also the goddess of marriage. She was Zeus' sister. She was also his wife. The gods did things like that. Hera and Zeus had 2 children, both boys, and they are Ares and Hephaestus. Zeus also had children with other mothers, children like Hermes, Apollo, Artemis, and Hercules. Hera did not like that. She was very jealous. She was often mean to Zeus' other children. Some, like Hercules, she even tried to kill. She was also jealous of Zeus. Probably the only thing in the earth and heaven that Zeus truly feared was his wife. Hera, or rather, feared her temper. You never know what Hera might do, but quite often, it was something pretty rotten. There were 3 very important brothers in the ancient Greek god world: Zeus, Hades, and Poseidon. Zeus was the king of all the gods. Hades ran the underworld. Poseidon was the god of the sea. Poseidon was not at all jealous of his brothers and their power. He did not want to be in charge of the underworld, and he certainly did not want all the responsibility that Zeus had shouldered. He was very happy being Lord of the sea. The job suited him perfectly. Poseidon had deep blue eyes and streaming green hair. He was moody, restless, and powerful. He could magically make an island appear, or a tidal wave over the shoreline, or send a wave to suck you right off the beach. All it took was a wave of his hand. People who lived in the land were not that worried about Poseidon, but all the Greeks who lived along the coastline were terrified of him. They built temples to honor him. They bought gifts every day. Sometimes the gifts made Poseidon happy, and the water was calm and sparkling. Sometimes the gifts did not make him happy, and a terrible storm would break over the land. The people tried very hard to keep Poseidon happy. Like most of the gods, Poseidon had many wives. He especially loved his main wife, who was not jealous of the other woman in his world. That was unusual, and Poseidon was grateful for it. His main wife was the only wife who lived under the sea and made home in their fabulous underwater palace. Like Hades, Poseidon had a huge mansion on Mount Olympus, but he only visited to attend meetings of the Council of 12 Gods. He much preferred his place under the sea. It was a beautiful place. There were Greek columns, colorful seaweed, white sand, glowing jewels, shimmering shells, and magical amber, with fish swimming in and out in every color of the rainbow. There was nothing else like it in the world. At night, glowworms kept every corner bathed in soft light. It was a peaceful, colorful place. As moody and wild as he might be, Poseidon always calmed when he came home to his beautiful palace and his gentle main wife. Demeter loved her little daughter Persephone. They played together in the fields almost every day. As Persephone smiled up at her mother, Demeter's heart swelled with happiness and the crops grew high and healthy. Flowers tumbled everywhere. As time passed, Persephone grew into a lovely goddess. That's when the trouble started. Hades, the king of the underworld, was a gloomy fellow. He normally hung out in the underworld. One day, Hades felt restless. He decided to take his three-headed dog out for a chariot ride. Cerberus, his dog, usually stood guard at the gate to Underworld, but Hades gave his pup a break now and then. He scooped up Cerberus and left a couple of spirits in charge instead. Hades flew his chariot up to earth. Cerberus leaped out of the chariot and ran around sniffing flowers with all three of his heads. The dog ran up to the lovely young woman, the goddess Persephone. Some people might have been startled if a three-headed dog came tearing up, but Persephone only laughed and scratched his head. Hades loved that old dog. He watched his dog playing happily with Persephone. He heard Persephone's delighted laugh. Hades felt deeply in love. Before anyone could stop him, he grabbed his niece, his dog, and his chariot and dove deep into the darkest depth of the underworld. Hades locked Persephone in a beautifully decorated room in the Hall of Hades. He brought her all kinds of delicious food, but Persephone refused to eat. She had heard if you ate anything in Hades, you could never live. She had every intention of living as soon as she could figure out how to do so. Over a week went by. Finally, in desperate hunger, Persephone ate 6 pomegranate seeds. She promptly hurts into tears. She was not the only one crying. Demeter, her mother, missed her daughter terribly. She did not care if the crops died. She did not care about anything except finding her daughter. No one knows who told Zeus about it, but it was clear this could not go on. Zeus sent his son Hermes to work a deal with Hades. This was the deal Hermes worked out. If Persephone would marry Hades, she would live as queen of the underworld for 6 months each winter. In the spring, Persephone would return to Earth and live there for 6 months. No one especially liked the idea. but everyone finally agreed. Every spring, Demeter makes sure flowers are blooming and crops are growing and the fields are green with welcome. Every fall, when Persephone returns to the underworld, Demeter ignores the crops and flowers and let them die. Every spring, Demeter brings everything to life again, ready to welcome her daughter's return. Athena was the goddess of wisdom. She could get angry, but more typically, she was wise, kind, and understanding. Athena was born very oddly. Her father was the mighty Zeus, but she did not have a mother. Instead, as the myth goes, she was born directly out of Zeus' brain. Zeus loved all his children, but one of his favorite was Athena. Athena held a powerful position in the ancient Greek god world. She was an Olympian, one of the Council of 12, who held a seat on Mount Olympus. She also had a home there. Here is a myth about Athena that shows how clever and practical she was. The competition of Athena and Poseidon. Nearly every town in ancient Greece had a god that looked after the townspeople. Towns rarely had more than one god to keep an eye on their best interest. Most gods did not share well, so usually it was one town, and if the town was lucky, one god to watch over it. Poseidon loved watching over towns. He usually picked coastal towns since he was the lord of the sea. Poseidon was a very powerful god. His brothers were Zeus and Hades. Poseidon was a moody fellow, but he loved his wife and the children, and he loved attention. He liked having people build temples in his honor and bring him gifts. They were not very useful gifts for a god, but he enjoyed getting them anyway. As Greece grew and developed, new towns sprang up all the time. Poseidon was always on the lookout for new coastal towns. He was not the only god who loved to be in charge. Athena, along with other gods, enjoyed the role as well. One day, both Athena and Poseidon claimed a new village. Most of the time, humans were grateful when they were selected to be under the care of a god. But two gods, that was one too much. Poseidon wanted them to choose which god they wanted. But the people did not want to choose. They could see only trouble ahead if they did. Athena, goddess of wisdom, daughter of Zeus, understood their worry. She challenged her uncle Poseidon to a contest. Both gods would give the town a gift. The townspeople could decide which gift was the more useful. Poseidon slapped his specter against the side of the mountain. The stream appeared. The people were excited. A source of fresh water was so important. But when they tried to drink the water, they discovered it was not fresh at all. It was salt water. Athena waved her arm and an olive tree appeared. The people nibbled at the olives. They were delicious. The people were excited. The olive tree would provide wood for building homes. Branches would provide kindling for children's stoves and fireplaces. The olives could be used for food. The fruit could press to release cooking oil. It was wonderful. But there was a coastal village. The people could not risk angering the Lord of the Sea, the mighty Poseidon. As it turned out, they did not have to choose. Poseidon chose for them. He laughed his mighty laugh, sending waves crashing against the shoreline. Poseidon proclaimed his niece the winner. That's how a small village gained a most powerful and wise guardian, the goddess Athena. A guardian who helped them rise to fame. In her honor, they named their village Athens. Ares was the god of war. He was true royalty as far as the gods were concerned. His parents were the king and queen of the ancient god world. His father was Zeus, and his mother was Hera. Ares was tall. He was handsome. He was mean. He was self-centered, and nobody liked him much. Ares' best friend was Ares, the spirit of disagreement. The two often traveled together, and they were often brought the spirits of pain, panic, and famine with them. When the ancient Greeks went to war, Ares often got involved. He did not care who won or lost a battle. He just liked bloodshed. His best friend, the spirit Ares, did not care that much about bloodshed, but she loved to cause disagreement. The angrier, the better. The pair of them were nothing but trouble. The magical rocks. A myth about Ares. As the story goes, once upon a time, a long time ago, Ares, the Greek god of war, was fighting against the Greeks in the field in the northernmost tip of the ancient Greece. The field was on the border of Macedonia, a country to the north. The Macedonians were forever crossing the line, trying to conquer the Greek city-states one at a time. Ares kept a close eye on that field as many as a battle had been fought there. Ares did not wish to miss a good battle. Athena, goddess of wisdom, saw her half-brother screaming and shouting happily as the Greeks died around him. Athena believed that the Greeks' cause was just they were simply defending their home. She picked up a rock and threw it hard as she could at Ares. Ares wasn't paying attention. Ares wasn't paying attention as usual. He was busy enjoying the bloodshed. The rock knocked him out cold. When he woke up, the battle was over. The Greeks had won. Ares never knew it was her sister Athena who had knocked him out of the battle. After that, nobody knows how, but somehow a rumor started that the great god Ares had been attacked by a magical rock. Nobody listened to the rumor. Nobody, that is, except two young brothers. The brothers owned the field where battles kept happening. It was very hard to grow crops while men were fighting. The boys had grown into giants. Well, not giants perhaps, but certainly tall and manly and strong. The boys quietly collected a huge stack of heavy rocks, hoping one of them would be a magical rock. The neighbors thought they were building a wall to help protect their field from the Macedonians. But actually, they were waiting for Ares. They knew Ares would show up sooner or later, because Ares loved bloodshed, and many battles had been fought in their field. Ares was bound to keep checking. Sure enough, one day, they spotted the great god Ares in the field. They threw rocks at him. They were very fortunate that one of the rocks hit Ares and knocked him out cold before Ares noticed what they were doing. The boys quickly stuffed Ares into a huge vase and plugged the top securely. Ares was stuck in that vase for a very long time. And for a very long time, the brothers lived a peaceful life. No battles were fought. Their crops flourished. Their neighbors to the north became their friends. Ares might still be in that vase today, if one of the brothers had not bragged to a neighbor about what they had done. The god Hermes heard about it. Hermes rescued his brother, not that Ares said thank you. But Ares never came back to the field, thinking perhaps that the tale of magical rocks was true. Besides, there were many other fields in ancient Greece, and many other battles. As long as there was bloodshed to enjoy somewhere, Ares was happy. Apollo was the son of Zeus, king of all the gods. His mother was the gentle Leto. Apollo had a twin sister, Artemis, the huntress. Apollo had lots of jobs in the ancient Greek god world. One of them was to bring up the sun. Another was to watch over music and musicians. Apollo was a gentle god, but he could lose his temper if provoked enough. When he did, Apollo always got even in very clever ways. Artemis was the goddess of the hunt and the goddess of the moon. She was Apollo's twin sister. Her father was Zeus, god of all the gods. Her mother was the gentle Leto. Artemis was Apollo's opposite. Her brother could be warm and loving, but Artemis was not like that. She adored her dogs. She loved her twin brother. She loved her mother. She respected her dad. She even liked most of her half-siblings. But to others, Artemis was cold and pitiless. Artemis was a private goddess. There are not that many myths about her. She absolutely, positively, no question about it. She resented anyone who intruded upon her, or spied upon her, or interrupted upon her, especially any men. Artemis had swore never to marry. She never did. Artemis and the Deer Hunter. Once upon a time, a long time ago, there lived a famous hunter. His name was Actaeon. One day, Actaeon and his dogs were in the woods. The dogs perked up their ears. They heard something laughter coming from the stream nearby. Actaeon quietly crept up to the stream to see who was laughing. Imagine his amazement to discover it was the goddess Artemis, along with some of her attendants splashing in the stream. He should have left immediately. He, like everyone else in the ancient Greek world, was very aware that Artemis demanded privacy. But he was young, foolish, and arrogant. Instead of leaving, he moved out onto the bark and boldly stared at Artemis. Artemis was furious. She splashed him with water. Magically, he changed into a deer. His dogs leaped on him, as he had trained them to do when they spotted any deer. The dogs killed him. Artemis never thought of him again. There are more myths that includes Artemis. Hermes was Zeus' youngest son. Hermes' mother was Maia. Zeus liked having his son Hermes around, even as a baby. Hermes was always full of fun. He was very bright. He had great ideas. He was a natural athlete. He had a mischievous grin. He seemed to be able to talk others into just about anything. Both gods and humans liked and trusted Hermes. Their trust was well placed. Hermes could keep a secret. Zeus decided to make him the messenger and the deal maker of the gods. That would put Hermes in the midst of things all the time. and it would make sure that Hermes was important. Between fixing problems and carrying messages. Hermes was a part of many a myth. He knew just about everything going on in a mythical world. But he never told what he knew to hurt anyone. Hermes had a true warmth. He wanted to solve things in a way that would work out best for everyone. The gods trusted him. That was important. He could never have fixed all the problems, and he fixed without trust. As he grew older, he became better and better at what he did, until he was the best deal maker in the world.